Yeah. 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 So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge, they don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like, wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. My name is Pam Esquire, also known as the Law Intellect, aka Pammy Pam. What up, Sonia? What's going on, girl? We are here today to give another update on Ernest Nesto Williams. And make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like button on the way in. We have some new document. We'll have a new document that was filed by Ernest Williams that we will discuss. I might get into a little bit about the phone calls, but not really at this point. But I may, depending on what you guys would like. If you are new here, welcome. I see that there were some new people that came on in and said that they came over from Sylvia. Shout out to infamous Sylvia. She is also one of the vloggers who have been covering this case regarding Ernest Williams. For those of you that don't know, because somehow you were out of town, you were on sabbatical, you were fasting the internet, whatever the case may be, Ernest Williams is actually the husband or estranged husband, as Shirley Strawberry put it, of Shirley Strawberry, who is the co-host of the Steve Harvey Morning Show. We know her as doing the Strawberry Letter, of which she gives relationship advice. Now, we've watched over on Phone Calls from Prison. Shout out to them. I know many of you have subscribed over there, where Ernest Williams has been accused, yet unindicted. There are 7 open cases. The majority of them are theft by deception, fraud, those type of cases. But he also has some very serious cases pertaining to alleged child depiction pictures being in his device, whether it be phone or computer. I think we don't really know. And also there are some RA charges. He does have bonds on all of the cases except for the one regarding the RA case. We recently watched a bond hearing on Monday, of which he was trying to get one of the cases reduced. The judge just reduced it by $100,000. That was with the child pictures. But prior to that, we also watched the case of which he was trying to get bond on the RAPE cases, which was totally denied. As we were looking at these cases, and I think we all came to the consensus that perhaps, Mr. Williams may not be our favorite person, but we have had leeriness, and me, of course, as an attorney, on the movement of this case, the lack thereof, the attorneys that he's had and what they've done or have not seemingly done, in our opinions, because we're on the outside looking in. Again, no, there are literally nothing. There's nothing that's going on in any of the cases after they've been filed. They are currently still unindicted. I was just talking to Dev, and he knows that I am very, very passionate about what I do. Do I believe that everyone should do this job? Absolutely not. I don't feel like just because you can pass the test, you should do it. And because there is a certain level of empathy and love for people that you have to have. I think people look at lawyers and they think you are rolling in the dough Everybody is rich, and that's not necessarily the case. But are there lawyers that's what they get into this gig for? Of course. There are always people that get into the gig for the wrong reason. Do I think they start out that way? No, I think a lot of them start out with good intent. As I say all the time, I think a lot of the issues with this world is that you're supposed to love people and use money. But what people tend to do is they use people and they love money. And sometimes that is at the detriment of people. So I say all that to say that we don't have to like whoever it is, but there is something called due process. And in watching this case, it just, to me, in my opinion, the moving of this case is just ridiculous to me. Whatever evidence that is out there, I think that he should have it if he does not have it already or his attorney doesn't. I think attorneys should know their cases. I know there was a lot of especially Sonia being upset about the phone calls. And I was telling Deb this, and he can vouch for that in the chat. One of the reasons that I had to stop doing criminal law is because for me, it was too overtaxing because how much I did care. I literally would go with whatever client I had. I saw my clients every single week while they were in jail. Every single week. I'm not saying that's feasible for everybody. I don't got 50,000 clients being on a court-appointed list or any of that, but I saw my clients every single week. And one of the reasons why I did that was because I was quite aware that prosecutors were going to ask the jails to keep those calls because they were going to try to find some information. People say it's phishing, but I think they use it as a part of their cases. So yeah, they may have, that doesn't mean they don't have anything, but of course, they're still investigating. They're still in investigative mode. So because of that, I know that they are going to record these phone calls as they tell you, and the prosecutor can tell them, okay, typically every 30 days, they may dispose of it. In prisons, I think they keep them because some of my wrongful convictions, they have like years and years of phone calls from them once they've been convicted and in prison. But I know that they're recording it. And because of that, I go see my clients every single week. They have no reason to talk to anybody on the phone about our case. I tell their family, if you talk to them and they want some information or they want to talk to me about anything or they have any type of alt or they feel like it's not moving or they got questions or they need to see their discovery or whatever it is, tell your family to call me. And that should be the end of the conversation. So some of this about these calls is because he literally did not know what was going on with his case. He was so now you relying on people that aren't necessarily lawyers that are giving you certain advice that I feel half the time was just ridiculous. And that's just my opinion. I don't think you should fluff somebody up and let them know, well, they don't have anything. Well, we don't know what they have. And I think that's a problem that you don't know what they have. And I think after we watched the bond hearings, many people had kind of the same consensus that there wasn't much done at that bond hearing. We were like, okay. And I explained to you guys that when you write motions, you don't just put on there, this is what the law says. And because the law says it, I feel like my client applies. And they should be out. That is not an argument. An argument means I have done the due diligence of going out and finding facts that I can prove that my client should be out of jail. And I don't think it was done in this case. And I've expressed that. And again, everybody thinks being a lawyer is glitz and glam until you get into this piece. When Deb talked about having a support group and we was all laughing and all of that, if you're married to someone that cares immensely about what they do, they probably do need a support group, because a lot of this is not just we argue in trial. That's not it. A lot of this is hours of no sleep. It's looking through thousands of pages of discovery documents. It's interviewing people. It's hiring PIs to go find people. It's trying to preserve video tapes. It's time to preserve, get your own experts. It's going out in the middle of the night at the same time to try to get a picture of what happened at that scene. It's talking to crackheads, going to crack houses, talking to alleged gang members. I mean, when you do this and you do it for real, it's no joke in order to make sure your client has adequate representation. So I know that people look at it and they're just like, oh, being a lawyer, oh, they just make a whole lot of money and they get to go argue. And people just look at arguing. Arguing is a craft. Everybody doesn't know how to do it effectively. Oftentimes I can argue and you don't even know that I'm arguing. I can get you to respond and get what I need out of you, and I ain't even saying much. It is definitely a craft that everybody does not have. I say all that to say, because you guys probably like, where you going with this lady? I say all that to say, thank you so much. I'm going to acknowledge your super chats in a minute. That when we saw that last bond hearing, I thought, because I know for a fact, hear me now, that his attorneys and them are looking at these videos of mine, not just Sonia. I can tell you for a fact that she saw that video. So I thought perhaps when we go to the next hearing that she was going to do a little bit different. But at the next hearing, it was more of the same. Like I said, we watched it. It was like 10 minutes, nothing to hear, nothing to see here, $100,000 reduced, and that was that. And that has kind of been the trajectory of his, of how this has been going. So what Ernest has done, before I get into it, let me acknowledge these super chats. Greetings, Comba said, greetings, Pammy Pam Esquire. I actually have friends that call me Pammy Pam. I have two. They're both attorneys, actually. My friend Levon and my friend David, they both call me Pammy Pam. That's why it was so funny. Every time they see me in court, they're like, hey, Pammy Pam. So when she said it, so Sonia, we girls now. So you might as well just go ahead and come out the bushes and talk to us and let us know. Thank you, Dorothea, for the $20. I appreciate it. Let me go down some of these real quick before we get to this document. MLA said, I understand I couldn't do it because I'm one that cared too much. I say it all the time. When you do criminal, that's somebody's life. You don't play with it. You don't half step with it. That's somebody's life. And if you get to a point that you can't give your all to it, don't do it. When it comes to civil, okay, if I lose, there was probably a Chanel bag or something I was looking at, and now I got to wait till the next case. But again, if I lose in the criminal case because of it's different because you lose because, they proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt. It is what it is. But it ain't because of my lack of effort. That's what I'm saying. It's never because Pam lacked any effort in what she did. And when you get to a point where it's overwhelming, then I think you should do something else. That's just my opinion. There are hundreds of areas of law. And also, I'm going to give a disclaimer as well. I've never done court-appointed work. All the work I've done criminal has been me being retained. From the first day I started, I worked in a firm. He was known to do a criminal, and he's done civil. He had been doing for years. And so I learned a lot from that firm I was working at. And he is one of the best attorneys in the state of Michigan. He is still the best trial attorney I have ever seen in my life. And I've seen a lot of them. And that's who I was second chair to. And that's who I was groomed by or raised up by in this arena. So that's why I'm the advocate that I am. And so saying all that is we didn't do court appointment. We weren't on the list. And when you look at court appointments, they do get overwhelmed. Like they have all these different cases. I think there should be more nonprofit organizations that can take the overflow of some of these cases so that people can get adequate representation. But so I do take that and the fact that you ain't getting paid much, because I've stepped in for some of my friends that do court appointed, because if you don't show up, they can take you off of their list. And that's a lot of their, that's kind of guaranteed money. People may retain you, people may not. Of course, you get more money getting retained, but that's word of mouth or whatever. And when you're starting out, you got to where you going to get your clients from? So I get all of that. So I'm not saying that. I just think the system, you have to take it, you got to take people's lives a little bit more seriously. That's all I'm saying. Thank you so much, Queen Black, for the $10 super chat. Thank you for saying you are appreciated. That means a lot to me. Make sure you guys hit this like button and subscribe if you have not done so already. Tatiana said, I said a while ago that he should look into some law books and figure it out himself. Don't let these lawyers make you do what they want you to do if you know that you don't care as much. Let me see. Night Scan said, if you know your client is guilty, would you argue his or her innocence? Is that legal? Well, I don't have the burden of proof. The burden of proof, the prosecution, I can literally, as an attorney, of course, nobody does this, but I can literally sit there and don't say not a thing. I don't have to cross-examine anybody. I don't have to introduce evidence. I don't have to put a witness on the stand. I don't have to do anything. It's their burden. It's not mine. Of course, I'm going to counter everything that they say because I'm not going to be a zealous advocate, but it's not my burden. So if you got holes in your case, I'm going to tell you what your holes are. If you got your timeline messed up, I'm going to show you your timeline. If your expert says that the trajectory of the bullet was this way and my expert says it wasn't, I'm going to say that. If I can prove self-defense and you're saying it's not self-defense, of course, I'm going to do what I need to do to prove self-defense. So that's how you advocate for your client. It's not my burden. And Tanya said, I wish my nephew would have had an attorney like you when he was going through his trial. And I hear that I hear that a lot. Everybody doesn't care like that. And even when I do my plea deals, you mentioned about people being guilty. I've had people that told me they did it. And when they told me that they did it, I advocated for a plea deal where it wouldn't ruin their life. I have advocated for plea deals on financial crimes specifically. I've advocated to have cases where once they paid it back, their cases got dismissed. So there are ways that you can advocate for your client and they acknowledge that they were wrong and you still advocate for your client. But when you get to the point where you just, that's not what you're doing, then to me, you should just move on. But again, that's just my opinion. So that's that. Let's see. Yes, GA has a public defender's office. And yeah. And there's also, again, there's some nonprofits that do low bono, as we call them, where they don't charge as much as you typically charge, that you typically charge to represent people. But no, I didn't work for Todd, but I do know Todd Perkins very well. I actually went to law school with Todd Perkins' brother, Sean. But Todd is a great attorney as well. But his brother, Sean Perkins, is currently on the bench. And he will tell you I slaughtered him in law school and pre-trial. I mean, it was trial skills. He was my opponent. And baby, he had to clap for me when I got finished. So, and every time I see him and he's a judge now, I bring it up. And he's like, I bet you won't beat me now. But yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, y'all. So this is where we are. Let's see. Yes, Detroit 313 in the house. Okay, guys. Can Nesto request a retainer back from that DC dude? Well, every month, what happens when you get a retainer, you don't earn it because they give it to you. You haven't even earned it yet. So you put it in what's called a trust account. And every month you're supposed to write a bill of what you have done. She can definitely request that they put out everything or whatever that they've done in the bill and what they haven't done. They could have done stuff. I'm speculating. So let me be clear. They could have done things behind the scene that I don't know. Maybe they've talked to people, maybe they've interviewed people, maybe they've done things that none of us know about because clearly it's not public record. But yes, she does have the right to go in and ask them, can I have an itemization of my retainer? And of course, you are entitled to a return of whatever. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to say that because I'm not in people's retainer agreements. But I would surmise that if you have anything left, then you should have it. From my understanding, on one of the calls, she was getting some money back on one of those retainers. But I think a lot of this that appears to me based on the phone calls is miscommunication. I'm not even gonna say miscommunication. I'm gonna say lack of communication. And this is why I saw my clients every single week. Not lying. Even just to know like everything all right. Anybody messing with you? Anybody trying to talk to you in their cell? Because they will plant people in your cell. That's a whole nother conversation. To try to see if they can get information. Anybody talk to you? Did anybody try to ask you, did you do it? How's your mental? You hanging in there? You're praying? You're praying for your lawyer. You're praying that I get the strength and the wisdom to do what I need to do for you. It may be a 15-minute conversation and that's it. But can't not one of my clients say, when I did criminal, that Pam never talked to me. Pam never came to visit. I think by the time my client went to trial, I think that I seen him like 35 times. I had got to a point where literally I would go to church on Sunday, and because the jail was around the corner, I would go there. Or if I had court, I would go to the jail and see him. Is that feasible for everybody? No. But I do think you should take one day every 2 weeks, maybe. They all stay, if you're going to practice in one county, predominantly they all in the same darn jail. Go in there and rotate and see everybody. Make sure they have their discovery. I think it's tacky when you go and you don't know your clients, or you go there and you're like, hey, what's your mama's name again? How many kids do you have? And we're going on a hearing in 5 minutes. I think it's tacky. I think it's really tacky. And you won't want nobody to do that to you, because nobody knows when they'll be in that situation. You don't want nobody to do it to your loved ones or people, anybody that you care about in your family. So that's just where I feel about it. Some people just don't, they feel like if you arrested, you're guilty. Some people feel that way. And I've had people tell me that. And I've had some people that felt that way and changed their mind when they were the one who had the finger pointed at them. And then they felt convicted that they did it to somebody else. Because at the end of the day, they were like, we didn't do it. So Denise Joiner said, hi, Pam. I'm so glad we still have people like you. Some of these lawyers are only for the money. Sounds like you give it all your all. Thanks for giving the people your. Thank you, Denise. I appreciate that. Everybody does not agree with me, and that's okay. This is literally like what I do, and it's my passion. To me, it's in my DNA. If it's in everybody's DNA, maybe not. But right is right and wrong is wrong. And again, I don't believe, I think, again, some of the things Sonia say is off, and some of the things she's not off on. Like, I do believe that how some of this is moved has been slow, but I think she also does things out of emotion. I don't do like because you care about the person. So yeah, everything they do is wrong where you can't see the right and the wrong. I can see the right and the wrong in this situation. I can see the right and the wrong in most situations. But that's why I don't represent my family. I don't represent close friends. I tell them I can refer you to somebody, but I'm not going to do it. You know why? Because I don't never want my emotions to be in a situation where I can't think clearly. I can't properly defend you if I don't even know the bad stuff. Because I'm like, no, he would never do something like that. I've known Pookie since he was 5. Then when you come with something on video, I'm looking like, oh, shoot. Why? Because I'm blinded because I don't want to know. So I don't represent family and I don't represent close friends at all. Now I'll get you somebody and I might shadow them. Make sure you have discovery. If you have issues with that attorney, I might tell you, whatever. But I don't do that because I know me. And I think you have to know you. You have to know you. So, girl, everybody know a Pookie. Stop. Everybody got a Pookie in the neighborhood. It's over 1,000 of you guys in here. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe if you have not done so already. Super Dale TV said, we had a lawyer. He didn't go to see my brother, but once in a while he was in the county. And when the trial started, my brother didn't know the game plan. It was crazy. And yes, he was a lawyer out of 313. I understand. Most of my homies aren't like that are lawyers. I remember like one of my friends, she had a court appointed. And I told you I like come in for her or whatever every now and then if it was a conflict. And they don't get paid much because I had the prosecutor show me what they got paid. I said, oh no, because they were asking me like, will you get on the list? I said, no, not what you guys bombarded me with work where I can't do what I'm supposed to do. And then y'all only paying me $75 to show up today. Like, no, that's not gonna work. But nevertheless, I remember on a Saturday, she came to me and she's the court appointed, and we went down to the projects in the hood, okay? And a guy was accused of, he said it was self-defense. We went down there. We ain't sketch artists or nothing. We went down there with our pads, baby. We was sketching up the whole project. They was looking at us like, what you doing over here? Because they know when you don't belong over there. And my best friend that's an attorney is white too. Child, they was like, what's she doing over here? But we were over there and he ended up, she beat that. I ain't gonna say we because I didn't have nothing to do with it except for helping her go down there on a Saturday and gathering information. So I think I might have maybe it wasn't a court appointed. I might have referred to the case or something. I don't know. But anyway, any of my friends call me to help them out, I do it. So we went down there or whatever, and she actually got that case dismissed on the preliminary exam. They didn't even have probable cause. And that was all because of due diligence in the beginning. In the beginning, you need to preserve videos because say if it's outside of a store, they record over it every 30 days. You need to immediately preserve those videos. Neighbors that may have seen it, that got Ring cameras now. Not everybody got Ring cameras. Preserve it. If you don't do any of that stuff, if they don't come like right now, let's just say Nesto's attorney start investigating today. That's a 1.5 years loss of any evidence that you could have gotten. And most of these charges are like 2021 or something. Like they're alleging that they happened. The incidents, he may have been arrested recently, but the incidents were 2 and 3 years ago. So how much evidence has been lost because of it? Anyway. You see, we did. Child, Miss Ronnie, some of it is less than that. They like pay for your appearance. Like if it's a first appearance, they have an amount. And in that trial, you get paid this low amount per hour. If it's going to be so long, you got to go before the judge and ask them, can you get more money? If you need an expert, now they can have DNA experts all day on the prosecution side. But if you need an expert, you have to file a motion with the court and ask them, to give you money so that you can hire an expert. It's not automatic. If you need a PI, you have to file a motion with the judge like, Your Honor, I need a PI to help me with this investigation of this case. It's no joke. And they have all of that on the prosecution side. You don't have that. He doesn't have any court dates coming up anytime soon. Rep in BK, New York said, yep, my ring footage was used in the case. Jalicia said that seems unfair and one-sided. That's an argument that a lot of people have, and that's why it's a lot of ineffective assistance of counsel. And some of it is they just don't have the resources too. So that's why I'm saying, even though it sounds like I am like some of these people don't own Nestos, they were paid attorneys, and I don't know what they've done. All I know is what's not been filed or what's going on in the case, or I know his phone calls where even though he feels like it's negative because it affected his family, it also let us know that you're saying, I have not talked to my attorney. I don't really know what's going on. He's finding out through his friend because she don't want to be called nothing else. So he's finding out from her what's going on in the case. She's trying to talk and reach out to the lawyer. She talking to the lawyer more than you talking to the lawyer. Like, what's that all about? Again, this is just my opinion. And Lord knows I don't even like to talk about, everybody that's been over here from the beginning. I always say, I know you talked about, when people was talking about Tasha K's attorney, I was like, I don't be talking about other attorneys now. Like, I ain't gonna do that. We all have our bad days. We all, we don't know everything and this and that, but you got to put some effort into some of this stuff. So anyways, I have talked way too long. It's been 30 minutes already. But thank y'all for listening, because I was just going in. So here's the document, guys. Nesto filed a document on November 6, 2023. It was actually filed, I guess, on November 13th or received by the clerk of the court. So the same day that we were watching his motion, he had actually filed. This was filed, but the date on here, as you see, is November 6, 2023. And Shay Alexander is the clerk of the court of the Superior Court for the county of Fulton, Georgia. So he writes a letter and he says, "How are you? And I hope this letter reaches you in good spirits. I've requested several times for copies of all my warrants as well as my probable cause hearing. Here's the date on my probable cause hearing." So he has September 14, 2023. Also, here are all the case numbers I had the hearing on. So he has those attached. If it's any way possible, could you send me a copy of all of my warrants and transcripts when I went to my preliminary hearing? Also, I went to court on the 14th of October 2023, or the 17th, maybe that's the 7th, for my bond hearing. So that's the hearing that we saw that Sylvia recorded that was in front of Judge Kimberly Esmond Adams. Can I get the transcript for that as well? I've been incarcerated for 16 months. I've had 3 lawyers, 2 public defenders, and all of them have failed by the wayside. The DA have been adding charges, dropping charges, as well as demolished my family and livelihood by leaking all of my phone conversations out to the public. Now, what I will say is the DA ain't had nothing to do with your phone calls going out to the public. So that is not true. That was not the DA. Now, the DA may have told them to hold them, because usually I think they only keep them for 30 days, because they were listening. And you were aware that they were listening, because you knew back in October at the bond hearing when they tried to get you no bond, they advised you that they heard the phone calls and that you were talking about going to your girlfriend in Florida and to Dubai. And that was brought up again in May. So you were quite aware that these were being kept and they were being recorded. However, the DA that's not the entity that releases anything, that released it. These are jail calls. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And you can go on the Cobb County website and you can see that that's a part of the Freedom of Information Act. But nevertheless, so I am forced to defend myself the best way that I can. So Miss Alexander, I'm begging you to send me the documents requested. I am an innocent man and I still have not even been indicted. So I'm begging you to please send me what I need to get my life back. I have lost everything, but I still have God. In the name of Jesus Christ, be blessed. So that was his begging and pleading. That was his begging and pleading. He's trying to get information himself. So what I gather from this, and again, all I have is what he said. Typically as lawyers, because I want y'all to know how this is supposed to go. You go down there and you see your clients in the county and you bring them their discovery. Because how can you run your case without your client helping you run your case? I don't know you. I don't know where you were at May 2nd, 2022. I don't know if you even know who this witness is that is going to be your accuser. I don't know if you know who this neighbor is over on 4th Street. I don't know anything about, do you even own a barbershop, sir? Like, How do I know anything without me giving you all of the evidence and you telling me, Pam, on this day, I was in Hawaii and I have the plane tickets. Call my mama, tell her to look it up and get a copy of me being in Hawaii. Pam, on this day, I was at my daughter's graduation. What is she talking about? That's how you get your information, because your client knows their life. I don't know their life. I'm just coming into your life to try to help you and be an advocate for you. Miss Cinnamon said he got notes from the bloggers to write this letter. Thank you. Thank you, Kiki. Thank you for subscribing as well. So I think a lot of people were saying he might as well just represent himself. So maybe he said, because really he's not supposed to have direct contact outside of his attorney, because he does have an attorney, and you don't want your client to do anything like this. You really don't. If you guys, let me tell you real quick before I go on to this, what the response was from the clerk. I heard them on a recent call, and Ernesto wasn't acting like he was married. Shouldn't be surprised to hear what people think. Well, what he said though on the recent call, you can't really blame these phone calls. See, this is what I would ask. Stop being the victim in this situation and focus on the actual black letter law, and you will be better off. It will help you tremendously. That is probably the best advice that you've ever gotten. Don't worry about they destroyed my family, the phones did this, the phone call. No, you said that stuff. We ain't say it. So that's just that. You was talking to more than one person on the phone. That wasn't you was talking to at least one other person on the phone that was not your wife. And it was interpreted how it was interpreted. You can say that it wasn't what it was, and we ain't hear what we heard. And now we trying to backtrack and clean it up and say we just besties from back in the day or whatever. Whatever it is that you guys say, it is what it is. It don't even matter. Because as you said, allegedly, we know that Shirley said she stopped talking to you a while ago. That was before these phone calls came out. Because Shirley came out and talked about it, within a week or a week after the phone calls came out. She said she had already been separated from you before then. So it wasn't the phone calls that called you. We could just do logic and basic reasoning to know that it wasn't the phone calls. It was Shirley learned some things probably, and she made that decision. You also mentioned in the calls, I believe, and y'all can correct me because I was in and out of the call yesterday, that she stopped talking to you around July. That ain't had nothing to do with the phone call at all. So just saying. So let's just listen. I'm gonna say the good, and your girl gonna say the bad. So we not just stop. You're not just stop. Just stop with all of that. But it's not fair because so and somebody mentioned they got it all over the place, and one blog saying this and one blog saying that, and this blog says something about a GUN with a censor. Okay, well, that ain't his charge, so who cares? I said that before, that I pulled up for you guys that it was somebody that was 20-something years old and that he does not have a charge of that. And that's not true. Until somebody shows me something with his name and his birthday, that's not true. I also said that if it were true, when they had the bond hearings, they would have listed that as something that he would have been convicted of. And if he was convicted of that and was serving time, why in the heck would he be trying to get out? Because he can't get out no way because he's serving time. So let's just use logic. But it's not relevant. You're focusing on the wrong stuff. Focus on. He's in a position to really shake things up, and he don't even know it because he's not thinking. He's thinking about the wrong stuff, and he got the wrong people in his ear. But I was just telling Dev, I said, I could tell you how he can shake this whole thing up. And I told Dev, he's in a position to shake this whole thing up, and he's just focusing on the wrong stuff. But anyway, I'm gonna move on because your girl ain't giving out no free legal advice. So then he has, here are all my case numbers for my probable cause hearing as well as my preliminary and bond hearings. So he's trying to get all of his transcripts. I believe the bond hearing, there was not a court reporter in there, and it was not, I think it was not recorded aside from infamous Sylvia, if I recall correctly, because I think I may have asked for the transcript. I don't know. I just randomly asked for stuff, but I believe I tried to ask for it, so I don't even know if they have a transcript of it, if it was a court reporter that was in there. Okay, let's go. So of course this was the response, and the clerk of the court responded on November 13th, and they have all the case numbers. So they just have, dear Mr. Williams, in response to your request, please review the items checked below. So then they check, your document has been filed in the office and made a part of the record. So that's how we were able to see what he wrote, because they filed it. So it's a part of his record. And this is their response. All your cases has not been indicted, and there are no scheduled court dates at this time. See attached attorney's information for any questions or concerns that you may have. They reverted him right on back to his attorney. That was pretty much the response. Nikki said, right, they weren't there. I initially thought his attorney was the court reporter sitting in her car. Oh, you're talking about the second bond hearing. I'm not talking about that one. There was a court reporter for that bond hearing. There was not a transcript filed. Maybe there will be one now. I don't know. For the first bond hearing, because I was supposed to go to that bond hearing, and then something came up on my own cases, and so I couldn't go. And because I couldn't go, I was just going to get the transcript, because if you guys are frequent over here, I also get transcripts, and we've done, we've act like we was the judge and the lawyers and all of that stuff over here, and go over the transcript as if we were there. And when I asked for the transcript, they told me they did not have one filed. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't get anybody to transcribe it. I don't know. This is what the clerk of the people told me when I called, that they didn't have it, and it was not one that was filed. So that's as to the one that he was denied bond on. You know what? Y'all can call her a TMU attorney if you guys. Black Hourglass said we laughing, but I bet Nesto is toying with reaching out to Pam. Listen. Dev, can he not submit FOIA for the information he is requesting via the correct process? The problem with that is you're only going to get so much information because it is still under investigation. His lawyer should. So I don't know their process. I don't practice in Georgia. I don't know if when you're unindicted, I would presume that you're entitled to discovery of some sort. So if you don't have discovery, why aren't we doing a motion for discovery? But maybe perhaps you can't have it because you're unindicted. So I don't want to give bad information, but I would be asking for what information do you have on my client. It's like it's just up in the air. And in Georgia, I was researching. Do you know they have like 4 years to indict you on a freaking felony? They have 2 years to indict you on a misdemeanor. Now, she ain't getting no free legal advice over here. Now, I'm gonna agree that they need to be doing a little bit more. But ain't nothing happened over here. But baby, the way I would have been shaking them tables, they'd have been like, we hate her. Take her back to Michigan. We hate her whole guts. But anyways, one of the things I wanted to bring up was that in that hearing with Judge Adams, Nesto said something under his breath that we all heard, even though it was under his breath. where he said, I want my right to a speedy trial. She said, what? What you say, sir? His lawyer stopped him and said, he wants to talk to me. She was like, okay, that's nice. But what did he just say? Thank you, Shaggy, for the $5. I appreciate it. It's like, that's nice. What did she just say? That's cool that he want to talk to you. He had plenty of time to talk to you. No, she didn't say all that, but she did say, okay, that's cool. What did you say, Mr. Williams? And she said he's gonna talk to me or whatever, and da 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 da. So then he said, okay, he just stopped talking and he said, okay, I'm going to talk to my lawyer. So I say all that to say defendants do have a constitutional right and a state right to demand a speedy trial. That's the Sixth Amendment for those of you guys that want to look it up. And I think under Georgia law, they have it as well. I think it's like 17-7 something. I don't know. I don't practice there, but it's something along those lines. So that means there's two types of speedy trial: statutory, which is the statute, that OCGA 17-7-170, and then you have our Constitution. So a speedy trial basically indicates that basically a defendant is they're tried for the alleged crimes within a reasonable amount of time after being arrested. It's not necessarily just indicted. It is also when they are arrested, when they stand before for their first appearance and they know the charges that are against them. So you can demand for a speedy trial, and what it does is it moves you up the calendar, but you have to formally demand it, meaning you have to put demand for a speedy trial and you have to file it. If you do a demand for a speedy trial and they don't give you that trial by the next regular court term, then they shall be acquitted of all charges. So what that means is if they don't bring his trial within that time, you're acquitted. You're not guilty. You didn't do it. That is what so it's not like he's not researching and know what he's talking about. Now, there is a catch-22 with everything. When you do a speedy trial and it comes within, I think it's 70 days. I want to say it's like within 70 days you can have a trial after your demand or something like that, give or take. It's a catch-22 because what he's telling us right here is he don't even know half the stuff he don't even know what the heck he did for real. Or like he knows what he's accused of, but he doesn't even know all of the evidence. So do you demand a speedy trial and then the prosecution decides, because now you go at the top of the list because now you're facing acquittal. It puts pressure on them. So will your attorney be able to go through all of these cases and adequately defend you within this amount of time if you don't even have the evidence that is waged against you? Do they have the experts that can be available if that's a necessity? Do they have all the background information on these witnesses? Have they committed crimes? Is their credibility at issue? Do they have a history of lying on people? Do they have a history that could affect their ability to testify truthfully and accurately? Do you really have all of the information that you need to have a speedy trial within this amount of time? I would say, based on the information that he has provided to us thus far from this letter, it sounds like he don't have much information. Hence, Sonia, when you said that I read the warrant, how the heck I got the warrant, but he don't have the warrant? Do I have the complaints of the person that came in? Yes, because that's public record. But it is under investigation, everything else. So I don't have the warrants. I don't know what their probable cause was based on. If he don't got them, sweetie, I ain't got them either. So it's a catch-22 when it comes to the speedy trial. But he has the right to demand it as well. You said I'm still giving free legal advice. No, I'm not. I'm explaining to y'all. I'm explaining. No, because for real, what I know he can do. No, what I know he could do. I'm not saying that. Well, what I would do. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that. I'm just he mentioned the speedy trial in the motion hearing. That's all I'm saying. Y'all don't get on me. Did you just say love after lockup? Nice Skin says on your Nesto should get out that coin and be featured. Bad. I watch too. Might as well. That would be good. Man, we will all be tuned in. But the problem is, will they allow him to do it while he's still in jail and waiting? Most of the time, they got outdates on Love After Lockup, and then they show them where they are running, and then they don't know that they talking to two women, and so one of them got to lie and say, "I'm getting out on the 20th," but you tell the other one the real date, the 21st that you getting out, so that they can be there on the right day, and all of that stuff. So no, usually they getting out on Love After Lockup. Need to be stress free. Said if they aren't working on his case, then you can ask for a speedy trial. But if they have crates of DJ albums to search through, then null and void. That is not true. Absolutely not true. It don't matter if you have the right to a speedy trial, either when you're arrested or when you're indicted. You have the right to request a speedy trial because, as you guys know, Donald Trump and the 19 RICO, and all of them are falling like flies in the Donald Trump case. 3 of those individuals requested a speedy trial. They had to give it to them. They did a date within 6 weeks, I think, and that was in the same court. Within 6 weeks, they got it, and they had ridiculous discovery, because you're talking about a RICO. That's everybody's stuff. It's not just the stuff pertaining to you. They turn it over, and that's that. So I don't, but they, and that was right after the indictment. So I'm not saying it's a good idea if you don't know what's going on in your case, because I wouldn't feel comfortable if I only got 90 days and you are giving me stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of discovery, if I would be able to get through it. If you guys have been watching the Melly trial, they have the retrial. Of course, they resubmitted a complaint against them. And I think Georgia's is different because he did have preliminary examinations on 3 of those cases. I think he did probable cause. They did have a probable cause hearing on the RAPE case, even though they're unindicted. I don't necessarily know how that works. I'm gonna be totally honest, because we don't do indictments for state cases here. We do, you get indicted from the federal realm, but state cases, we do preliminary examination. So literally, you get arrested. Within 72 hours, they have you arraigned, or they usually release you. Within 1 week, you have a probable cause conference where you kind of discuss everything against you, da 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 da. By 2 weeks, so usually you at least have some discovery before that. And then you have probable cause hearing within 14 days. And then if they find probable cause, they bind you over to, if it's a felony, then they bind you over to the next level court, because you have to have a higher court, because the district courts here do the probable cause hearing. So they bind you over, and then some people waive it. They just waive probable cause and they go to the next level, because especially because the deals tend to be better, I guess, when they bind you over. So some people waive it for various reasons. I went over that before, why you should hold them, why you probably shouldn't hold them in some instances. That strategy too, whether you hold them or not. It sounds like he had a probable cause hearing. He's requesting the transcript for that hearing. I remember that day, and I was trying to look for it, but I didn't see it. It was in front of Judge Manning as well. So apparently there is a difference. So I don't know in Georgia. So I don't profess to know everything, guys, and I don't practice there. So I couldn't really tell you what's the difference between them doing preliminary examinations and waiting for an indictment to come. I know an indictment is in front of a grand jury, obviously, but I don't know what the difference would be. Hey, Michael Millins, what's going on? Fast pictures. Hey, he said, I wonder if there is a correlation between the uneducated and the chronically unindicted. That's huh. Okay, so Madam DA Fonnie Willis did a interview that a lot of people sent me, and it was very, very enlightening. She was basically saying, in a nutshell, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but from the parts I heard, and she can hold her own. She's no joke. Very good prosecutor. I'll say that. She was saying that when she got there, it was like 18,000 or something ridiculous of unindicted people. It was backlogged. So they had people that had been in jail awaiting for years and years, even before she got there. Design Habit, thank you for the cash app. Thank you so much. And she got it down to a lowercase amount, like a lot. She's gotten it down a lot, and she was explaining that some of this stuff was inherited, which is what happens. She said they need more judges. She said they're overworked, which is probably true, probably from the prosecutors end and the DAs end. That's why it seems like perhaps they look unprepared because they don't really know, they may not know the cases like that because they have so many. So that sounds like it may be part of the problem. And it seems like they have funding, and maybe she doesn't have the resources and the support from the people that are complaining, that are the higher ups complaining about her. They haven't given her the support for her to be able to adequately do what she needs to do. And I feel all that. I really, really do. And I'm sure there's validity to what she's saying, but I'm sure the people in jail don't give no damn about none of that because they trying to get out. So she did say a lot of people that were in there for years, they were incompetent and they were deemed incompetent. And so they can't testify right now. So that's why they're in there. So she was giving some background as to why some of those people were in there as long as they were in there. But this case is interesting. And again, it may be a catch-22 that because other people are talking about it, then now they may place more highlight on this case. Judge Manning did say she was going to give a call to the prosecutor's office because of all these cases were unindicted. Judge Adams mentioned as well in the bond hearing, she asked them, how soon are y'all going to get this thing running? Like, all of them are unindicted. When are you guys going to do anything? So there are judges that are on his case that are trying to push it as well. So maybe we'll see some action soon, and maybe he'll see some action soon because clearly he felt like he had to take this in his own hand, and he wrote a letter to the clerk of the court. My coworker, Miss Roney said, my coworker's son has been waiting 1.5 years in jail in Columbia, South Carolina. Thank you, Nita B. Stress. I appreciate the super chat. She said, well stated, sis. I enjoy your commentary. Thank you. TA company said you have to have money to get your case moving, but surely spend a lot of money to get no results. Yeah. Well, again, I'm sure the attorneys that he had will have a different story. They might say, we were trying to get the information. They didn't give it to us. They could be saying, we got documentation of us going over to wherever the parking lot is where he's supposed to have done some of this stuff, or trying to talk to certain people, or sending out PIs. We don't really know because a lot of the grunt work is behind the scenes. So I will say that. I'm going off of these bond hearings, and I haven't seen not one that has been that impressive, or that anybody had done any real work to figure out how they can really help him if he, to help him get out. But I just came to say he is proclaiming his innocence. Again, he is presumed innocent. So as he sits here today, he is innocent. He has not been convicted of anything. And again, a lot of us just listen to this stuff and we like, man, that's a grimy. But you have to be able to separate the person from the due process aspect of it. You have to be able to separate the person from your constitutional rights. I know how to do that. I do it on a regular basis. Some of you guys don't really know how to do that. I understand, and that's what I'm here for. Try to help y'all out to see where I'm coming from, why we look think the way we do, and why we move the way that we do as lawyers. Yeah, that's that. I'm gonna go over this letter one more time, then I'm going to because it's 1 o'clock already. I've been on here for an hour. I've just been yapping. C.A. Williams says Sonya just seems to be all talk. She doesn't really seem to be working to help her man. Well, it sounds like she's talking to the attorney. You mean her friend? Girl, get it right. She don't like that alleged mistress on the title. She said that. She has talked to the attorney. Well, in the one phone call, she said she need to get him an attorney, and somebody told him that she needs to get him an attorney. I haven't seen that one has been gotten, but she did say that in one of the calls, and she sounds like she's talking to him. But a lot of stuff, she's kind of moving on logic. And I'm not saying if you work in a law office, again, my paralegal and they'll will tell you she sits second chair and she's no joke. So there are some paralegals that to me they'll be better attorneys than some of the attorneys that's out here. So I'm not knocking that at all. I feel like law firms are built with great paralegals and great secretaries. Even though people try to belittle their administrative staff, your administrative staff is very important. It can be very integral to you having a successful law firm, especially if you have one that you own for yourself. However, I think because she is so emotionally involved, she doesn't see everything the way it should be seen. That's just my opinion, Miss Sonia. I know you're watching. And feel free to email me. You can DM me, girl. I'm on Instagram. It ain't no hard feelings. I'll be Pammy Pam. You was kind of, you was getting a little testy with me and all of that, but I get it. If somebody you love and care about, you felt like people were dragging. So listen, no judgment, no condemnation here. You're welcome to come on anytime. Dr. Carissa says Sonya is running. C.A. Williams said admin staff. Miss Oh no. Black Lila said, thank you. I'm an admin in the construction industry and we are the backbone of the organization. I acknowledge that. And for lawyers, a lot of stuff is procedure. You can lose on court rules, not knowing dates, not knowing process. You can literally lose cases on procedure. You know who knows procedures? Secretaries and paralegals that have done this for years. Even though you have the license and you just got off the bar exam, they are the ones that know process and procedure. And if you want to be mean because you come into a big major law firm and you're happy because now you got your cute suit and your cute little heels that you're going to stop, trust me, after about 5 years, you're going to go into flats like me. I ain't got nothing but flats, baby. Y'all them, everything matching and my bag matching my outfit and my shoes matching. I'm just like, give me this black and these different color shirts. Like, I was like that at first, so I understand. When you come in them offices and you think that you're gonna, because you got the law license, you better respect them secretaries and those paralegals. Because if they mess around and they don't like you and they just do what you tell them to do, but they know you don't know what you're talking about because they know procedure, you gonna be hit. Now that was some free game for anybody that wanna come new off the bar and you want to go into a law firm and feel like you're higher and mightier than the legal secretaries and the paralegals that have been doing it for 30 years before half of you were even born. Thank you, Kelly girl, for the super sticker. Thank you. I appreciate it. You said all this craziness is better than Housewives. It would be a good reality show. Can Nesto's legal wife file an alienation affection suit in North? Child, I don't know nothing about that man's wife in North Carolina for real. She did allege she's still married to him. Maybe it's gonna be some phone calls when they talk about that, but I don't know. All I know is I try to stay away from that aspect of it and keep us focused on the law in his cases. But yeah, that's a mess. Hello. Say hey, Sonya girl. Hey. But Miss Ronnie said, just like the nurses know how the operating room in the ER runs. Yes. Lean on this. Yes, please take that advice. I would appreciate that for real. Because I have a friend and she was a legal secretary for like, she's been in there for 35 years. And she used to tell me how some of these new lawyers will come off the bar and be all snooty and snoopy like they all that. And she said, and I know that they'll tell me, you're supposed to do this according to the Michigan court rules. You're supposed to do this. And she was like, okay. She said, I knew they was wrong. And I just followed. Then they come back like, oh my God, they rejected it. I missed the date. Now I got to file a motion and try to dismiss my case. I don't know what I'm going to tell my client. She's like, okay. Well, she's like, well, why did you file it? Because you told me to. Remember, you're the lawyer. You got the bar card. And she told me that story, and that was before I became a lawyer. And I'm telling you, from that day forward, I was like, oh, I appreciate everybody that does a good job. I don't even care if you vacuum my office good at the office building. I am cool with the maintenance lady. No joke. She will come when I did not, when the pandemic happened and we all weren't in the office and we were doing everything at home. I could come into there. She get the lady that takes my garbage out and that was cleaning my office. She brought me a gift for Christmas. When she saw me, she hugged me and everything. Child, if you do something for me and you do a good job, I respect it because we all need each other. Just because you got a piece of a license, don't make you no better than the next person. Everybody's job is important. So, oh, Kim Crochet, thank you so much. She said, Miss Pam, you are the GOAT. I appreciate you. Miss Mad About Music said, tell them Pammy Pam. Everybody gonna call me Pammy Pam. It's cool. I'm gonna have to change my name now. It's cool. The administrative staff can make or break you. Shout out to all that perform administrative work. Yes. All right, y'all. Let me get off of here before I really start giving out advice because I can't help it and it flows like water and it's a part of me. And I've been and gave him some stuff that could really, really help him. So I'm going to get off of here. If anything else goes down, you know I'll be right here on this good internet. Thank you again for all of the super chats. I'm going to name you guys again before I get off of here. Let me see. I think we got some members too. Miss Body, thank you so much. Or M Body Kumba, I'm sorry. I said Miss. Doretha, thank you again for the super chat. Queen Black, thank you again for the super chat. You said you are appreciated. Brenda Palmer, welcome to the Intellects, new member. CCB, you said one day, can we listen to Sonya and Nesto discussing the phone calls being on YouTube? Go over. Oh, you want me to do it over here? They're on phone calls from prison. But yeah, maybe we can do that if you guys want to, maybe over the weekend when we lay back. Thank you for the super chat and the question. Shaggy J, thank you for the super chat. Design Habit, thank you for the super chat. Nita Be Stressed, thank you again for the $10. She said, well stated. I enjoy your commentary. Kelly Girl, thank you for the super sticker. And Kim Crochets, thank you again for that. I'm going to read this letter one more time before we get off of here because that's really was the purpose. And we were just talking because that's what I do for a living. So I just talk. But Nesto has written a letter. It was filed with the Fulton County Superior Court. And he said, Dear Miss Shay Jack Alexander. I said Jackson. I'm up here on Kiki, you know. Dear Miss Shay Alexander, she's the clerk of the Superior Court. How are you? And I hope this letter reaches you in good spirits. I've requested several times for copies of all of my warrants, as well as my probable cause hearing. Here's the dates on my probable cause hearing, which is September 14, 2023. Also, here are all the case numbers I had the hearing on. If it's any way possible, could you send me a copy of all of my warrants and transcripts when I went to my preliminary hearing? Also, I went to court on the 17th of October 2023 for my bond hearing. Can I get the transcript for that as well? I've been incarcerated for 16 months. I've had 3 lawyers, 2 public defenders, and all of them have failed by the wayside. The DA have been adding charges, dropping charges, as well as demolished my family and livelihood by leaking all of my phone conversations out to the public. So I am forced to defend myself the best way that I can. So, Miss Alexander, I'm begging you to send me the document requested. I am a innocent man. And he underlined that for emphasis. And I still have not even been indicted. So I'm begging you to please, please send me what I need to get my life back. I have lost everything, but I still have my God. In the name of Jesus, be blessed. And I want you guys to be blessed. I am going to holler at you guys next time.